if you weren't frustrated already, are you familiar with Prager University?
Of course.
Of course. How do you not know Prager University?
How do I not
Prager,
know Dennis? How do I not know Dennis Prager? But go ahead.
yeah. So if you don't know Prager
Mhm.
University is an American advocacy group and media organization. Sounds good so far. That
Mhm.
creates content promoting conservative viewpoints on various political, economic, and sociological topics. It was
Mhm.
co-founded by Alan Erston and talk show host, as Miss Lana said, Dennis Prager. Despite the group's name being initialism for Prager University, it is not an academic institution. This is very important to remember, by the way. I'm going to repeat
Right.
that. It is not an academic institution and does not confer degrees. PragerU's videos contain content widely considered to be misleading or false in promoting climate change denial. Historians and political science have also criticized PragerU's videos for containing misleading or inaccurate claims about topics such as slavery and racism in the United States, immigration, and the history of fascism. PragerU has been accused of promoting anti-LGBT politics. So why are we bringing this up, Lana? Do you know why?
Yeah, we're bringing this up because the Florida Department of Education has decided to use PragerU's content
Mm-hmm.
for their schools.
Yep.
Like, and there's a few videos. And here's the thing: don't
Oh,
get me wrong. It's not because it's conservative, right? It's not because it does conservative content. There's nothing wrong with conservative content, but make it be factual. Don't
correct.
change the facts in your Why are we watching a video of Christopher Columbus talking about, yeah, slavery was bad, but at least they weren't killed? Like, what is like, and this is what we're going to teach our kids? Or
Mm-hmm.
Frederick Douglass saying, yeah, the founding fathers, they didn't ban slavery because they just wanted to unite all of the states together. Like, what the fuck that is not true. Frederick Douglass was an escaped enslaved and fought against it voraciously.
It's insanity. And now I feel like one of those like Jerry Springer talk shows. You brought up the videos. Well, guess what? Let's bring out the videos because I've got a
Oh,
couple of videos on here that you just spoke about. Unlike the Joe Rogan show, we don't want you to watch these videos and think that this is something that you should look at as a possibility. We are making fun of these videos because they're fucking stupid. Here's the first one that Lana just talked about with Christopher Columbus teaching the kids about slavery.
Is as old as time and has taken place in every corner of the world, even amongst the people I just left. Being taken as a slave is better than being killed, no? Before you judge, you must ask yourself, what did the culture and society of the time treat as no big deal?
I mean, hey, we saved the savages, didn't we? I mean,
back in the day, it was no big deal. And it is better than getting killed. No, you know what?
They
I'm
got
not
killed.
sure if that's not. Well, first of all, they did get killed. Second of all, I got news for you. I'm not sure if that's necessarily true. I've heard lots of people, white, black, no matter what color you are, say, if I had to go to prison for the rest of my life, I'd rather die. So I don't know.
And they did, because there's a whole body of water. I think I forgot what they called it, where during that Middle Passage, they just would take their children and just jump off the ships because they would rather kill themselves to go into captivity, because it wasn't just captivity. Let's be real. Like, we keep saying slavery. No, it's like you got to get into the meat of what enslavement was, because it's enslavement, not slavery, because they weren't slaves when you kidnapped them. They were just people.
Correct.
You enslaved these people and you raped these people, men, women, and children. You separated these people. Black folks don't have their last names now.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have our last names because of slavery, because of enslavement. You were given names of your owner. So you have Black people named Johnson and Jefferson because of their slave owners. that right there is just very telling. That is disgusting. We're like the only people who don't even know where the fuck we came from because we were kidnapped.
Yeah.
So we're fighting desperately to keep our history intact, to keep our culture intact. And here DeSantis and these people come and just like whitewashing it and changing it. And that is why I'm like, this is not even funny. This is fucking disgusting. And it makes me sick to my stomach because our ancestors died and here we are playing fucking games with enslavement. Like, that shit is crazy.
I absolutely could not agree with you more. And you know what? I'm speaking for myself here. Lana, you can you can speak to this as well. This is not, because I know a lot of people say, oh, so liberals and Democrats, they just want to ban free speech. I don't care if you want to teach this to your child. I think you're an idiot if you do. If you want to sit down and play this for your kid, you're a moron, but you're free to do it. But for this to be taught in Florida schools is fucking outrageous. And parents not stepping up and saying, guys, this is beyond, what we're looking for. Okay, you have some ideas of how slavery should be taught in schools. This is your solution. This is what we're going to start teaching the kids in school. That's insanity.
They're minimizing it, right? And it's part of the plan because Republicans always have a plan. Not saying all conservatives, but who we're talking about, these lawmakers. It's like they had the plan with Roe. This is the big plan because you can hear when they're saying, you hear Trump saying, this is reverse racism, what they're doing to me. So they're like minimizing racism. And now they're saying like, well, other people were slaves too. Like, so they're trying to change what racism is. Ron DeSantis has said if he becomes president, that there's not going to be a civil rights division investigating hate crimes, like crimes against Black people, lynching, calling them the N-word. No, he's going to investigate crimes against white people. So they're trying to redefine what racism is and act like Black people have the upper hand in the system that wasn't even created for us to have an upper hand, because racism is literally a social construct that they created. It's like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, and listen, it's got to be way more. Again, it's frustrating for me, so I can't imagine how frustrating it can be for you. I want to play this next clip. Tom says, I think it's a good lesson of how future generations will judge our decisions today. Yeah, I'm really afraid of, later on how we're going to be judged. And I think, I hate to sound doomy and gloomy, but, we have this next election, the next few years, to determine exactly which way this country is going to go. And if it goes what you and I would consider the wrong way, it could be like that for quite some time. And that's a scary prospect. And, there's a lot of people out there who think it's a scary prospect if it goes our way. But I don't understand, why? Because we're not going to get mad that a transgender person said, here's a Bud Light. I mean, what?
You're going to get upset because prescriptions are being capped. Your Social
correct.
Security is being saved. Like, that's going to upset you, and not people teaching your children the absolute wrong history. And then in this, no one talks about Black kids. Like, that frustrates me even more. It's the white discomfort thing. We don't want the white kids to feel discomfort, but what about the Black kids? So the Black kids got to suffer and not get their real history because we need to make white kids comfortable, white parents comfortable. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. This is like, we're a diverse world. It's not, what are we doing right now?
You're exactly right. Because, and you and I talked about this a few weeks on our show. If you missed it, I mean, the point, that Lana's making is true. And it's not just, making the white kids comfortable, because again, I went through school as a white child. We learned about slavery the way it had been taught for decades. And again, there was never a time where I came at it or going, gosh, I hate my whiteness, or I mean, it just, and I think quite frankly is, just by even saying that, you're almost teaching your child now to hate their whiteness because you're putting something in their head that was never there to begin with. But also, too, you're talking about a population that is 13% of the country. So most schools are going to be predominantly white, and there's going to be less black people in that school. And really, at the end of the day, you would think that the black children in that school will probably be a little bit more uncomfortable because they don't have as much representation around them in that class. But I'm going to play this second clip, the Frederick Douglass one, that pesky abolitionist. He's got some things to say about slavery as well.
It was evil and wrong, and they knew that it would do terrible harm to the nation. They wanted it to end, but their first priority was getting all 13 colonies to unite as one country.
By the way, do you think that's a black man doing the voice, or is it a white guy doing a black guy voice?
White guy doing a voice.
Yeah, okay. All right.
The southern colonies were dependent on slave labor, and they wouldn't have joined a union that had banned it.
Are you okay with that?
I'm certainly not okay with slavery, but the founding fathers made a compromise to achieve something great.
Do you think Frederick Douglass said, "I'm not good with slavery, but"? Do you think that ever came out of his mouth?
Ever. That somebody that was enslaved would ever say, "I'm not good with it, but." I mean, but DeSantis, this is DeSantis's wet dream, because at the very beginning of last year, DeSantis was talking about, the percentage of slaves, and, they weren't all black, and the founding fathers didn't want them. Why did they have them?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? They all had slaves. They weren't freeing their slaves. They beat their slaves. They raped their slaves. What did Jefferson do?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, we can ask Frederick Douglass directly because he's still alive, right?
That's true.
Donald Trump thought he was still alive, right? I'm not misremembering that.
No,
Okay.
he did say
The
that.
making of the United States. It was America that began the conversation to end it. But Leo is correct that big problems need to be approached very carefully.
Leo's got it.
Have you kids heard of William Lloyd Garrison?
No. Nope.
He's an abolitionist like me, and he and I used to be friends, but we aren't any longer. We don't agree how to solve problems. William refuses all compromises, demands immediate change, and if he doesn't get what he wants, he likes to set things on fire.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds like you know the type.
Yeah,
God.
we've got that type in our time.
So, you're trying to work for change inside of the American system.
Okay, I can't watch any more of that. It's stupid.
That is crazy. We got that type.
Yep.
What type is that? BLM? Light
It's,
things on fire? What the fuck is that?
That's not what they meant, Lana. You can't say, because they'll come back and say, it's another innuendo that they didn't mean, and it's all garbage.